Sige.
Although
Okay.
I'll try to use as much Tagalog as I can, but
Oh.
you know naman di ganun ka di yun.
Adahon mo na.
Sige, ako yung Tagalog translator, pero but that's only relative, ah.
Exciting,
Lumaki din ako sa
Sa Saudi.
Sabihin mo, Anton, if I should see it on YouTube na.
Actually, right.
It should be streaming na.
Right now, I only see RJ.
No, on
Oh,
the YouTube.
On Discord, I only see RJ now on Discord.
Ayun, somebody said hi na via Facebook.
Oh, wait. I gotta see that.
We're 4 minutes out from the live stream. I'll tell you guys naman pag
Wala.
malapit na.
Wala sa wala sa Facebook. Can you share sa Facebook page mo yung YouTube link?
Ayun.
I-refresh mo lang, Marv.
Odin,
Lalabas din yan.
Gapa.
May
Odin.
nag-message siya sa Facebook eh. Sa YouTube, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's live. It's live. It's live.
Yung
I saw
countdown.
it.
Yes, we know. Yes, we
Yes.
know. We
Yes,
can
you.
hear. You.
Don't forget to turn off your speakers. Feedback.
I turned off my speaker.
I'm using the second-hand gaming headset.
Is
The
yung
one that
second-hand
was returned.
Yeah, the one that was returned.
Nasira.
Well, I mean,
wait,
it's perfectly functioning.
There's an echo. I can hear an echo.
That might be my fan. Is that my fan?
Testing. Is it my audio?
Is someone's speakers on?
Mine is off.
Mine are off.
Ako naka-headset.
And I am lowering the volume then to 0. Hindi kaya sa'yo?
Wait, what about me? Is it coming from me?
Is it me?
Or is it?
You know, just so you know, I can't see anyone anymore, even on the Discord. I just see RJ. Hello.
You don't need to. I can't see anybody anymore kasi everything's facing away from me.
So right now we're also just waiting around. We're also waiting for the show to start because the only way we can see each other is through YouTube na.
Yeah. Kasi if I switch to OBS now, mawawala
I
yung
got
timer.
I got you.
I can still see you guys on the cell phone Discord. I can still see you guys.
Okay.
So,
Oy, RJ,
okay yung video natin.
ito magandang tanong. Mas malaki po ba ang power consumption ng M.2 tsaka versus ordinary SSD?
Wait.
Una, would it matter? But we're not ano pa naman we're not live yet.
Sobrang minimal nun.
Oh, di ba? Like,
Oh.
we had people arguing on YouTube na RGB adds to temperature. And I'm like, yeah, any lighting adds to temperature. But that's like throwing a bucket of water into the sea, di ba? The sea don't care, yo. I mean, it's so minimal.
Yes.
You know what? I will answer that question by Googling it right now. Just a moment.
Ito,
Kaya ko
somebody
yan.
also asked, ilang watts po kain ng SSD sa power supply? I mean, are these really the things na...
No, teka lang. I got it. I'll get that answer right. Okay, so ano yan?
Ito, or maganda din to, Kint. Hooked up a broken UPS to a motorcycle battery. It works flawlessly, but should I worry?
Pwede.
Pucha, RJ, sa'yo na yun. wala akong alam sa mga voltage. So there's some good questions naman. Everybody said that. But
Okay. Okay. So, Samsung 860 Evo SSD, yung SATA, is 10 watts. Okay. So, SATA 10 watts. Okay. I'm now going to try for the M.2.
You have 30
My M.2.
seconds.
My M.2 ba yung Samsung?
Yeah. 970
Yes,
Evo.
I think all brands.
970. Oh, wait,
Although I think that's NVMe.
I pressed video card. Hold on a second. Don't rush me. You're rushing me.
17
Okay, what?
seconds. I'm gonna
960 Evo?
Yeah.
970.
Maximum
970.
7 watts.
For the 970 Evo.
M2.
So basically...
M2, 7 watts.
Okay, ito
Kasi,
na. Sorry. Ito na.
The
Okay.
spec itself.
Okay, let's have a good show. We're 3, 2, 1. Alright, what's up internet? Thanks for joining us sa unang episode ng Puwede Magtanong. Wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa. Actually, we saw an interesting question sa chat, so we'll start with that. May nagtanong na ano ba yung power consumption ng SSD, SATA versus M.2? So nakita namin yung chat, tapos research lang namin before we went on air. Apparently mga 10 watts yung SSD SATA, tapos 7 watts yung M.2. So number one, very minimal overall. Tapos number two, very small difference lang. But let's go to the first question from Ian. Ian asks na naka-onboard graphic siya and pwede ba yun mag-dual screen? Kasamang RJ,
Yes.
ano tingin mo dyan?
I've been asked that question a lot noon. And
Talaga?
usually kasi
It comes up?
pag APU will use the motherboard's slot. So that usually HDMI or VGA or and then that's one port. So if you want a dual monitor, you will still have to buy a dedicated GPU for that other slot.
So even if the motherboard has, let's say, one HDMI and one DVI or whatever, one display port,
Oo.
di yun kaya?
Yeah, it will still use one power one channel. Kasi.
Buti,
And then,
that's why we got you eh. Sinagot ko to kahapon, sabi ko, feeling ko pwede. Sige, sorry, go ahead.
yun, so,
I-
and then it also depends sa, let's say, kung yung binili mong GPU has, yung mga uso ngayon, di ba, 4 slots na. Dalawang display port, dalawang HDMI or whatnot.
Marv?
So you can
sorry.
go beyond two
Beyond
monitors
dual.
pa.
Yeah.
If it's one of the older motherboards, before the APU became famous, kung meron pa mga lumang motherboards, some motherboards did support dual monitor. Like I have an Asrock 10-year-old motherboard, an Asrock that supports at least 2 monitors. So one is a VGA, the other one is in the HDMI. Pero ayun nga, for the new APUs, I think that's no longer an option.
So before kaya, depende.
And it depends sa BIOS. So some you have to force, some talagang walang option.
So,
Or maybe they can if hindi talaga option sa current hardware niya, then he goes a little more expensive and buys a USB monitor. Is that an option? I've been hearing about those, 'di ba, yung mga USB monitors para sa
bago
mga
nga yun.
laptop.
Yung mga portable. Yes.
Well, just to sum it up, so parang best case, kaya kung sobrang luma ng hardware, pero hindi pa sigurado. But kung modern APU like 3200G, 2200G, parang malabo, no? Parang yan yung consensus.
Yeah, yes. It's still best to go with an additional GPU.
Like an additional, like a discrete GPU talaga.
It really depends also on your needs. If you just need an extra monitor for browsing.
Okay.
For gaming.
Sige, we have a lot of questions. The second question is from Andrew. And we get this question a lot about RAMs and like ano ba yung compatible sa iba-ibang ano. So Andrew asks, pwede ba magkaiba yung different brand ng RAM sa isang system? What you guys think?
Yes. I've mixed a ballistics brand with ano yan? Yung pula, Ripjaws.
G-Skill.
G-Skill.
Yes, G-Skill. So as long as it'll actually work even if they have different speeds, they're gonna match the lowest one. So if one is 3000 and then the other one is 2600, they're both gonna go to 2600.
Okay. And then you didn't have, in your personal experience, no problems with system stability? Kasi yan yung usual na...
Well, wala naman. Pero best practice and suggestion would be the timings and speeds are the same.
Even if different brands? Mas,
yes.
Okay.
Gaano pa rin.
Rafael or Marvin?
Well, hindi ko pa natatry na different brands. I only tried different speeds and sizes together. Dalawang G-Skill na magkaibang setting. So, pretty much okay naman. Yeah, gumana naman. But hindi ko naman siya stress, so I haven't really stress tested kung stable siya in all applications.
Daniel Perez from YouTube says hello to the cute dog. Bigger was in the background kanina.
It's Bagel.
And Like, I just wanna,
Uh-huh.
like, may ipis dito sa taas eh. So if I start screaming like a girl and running, pucha. 'Cause that's why I keep looking up eh. Damn. Anyways.
Okay, my input regarding the RAM. It's like this. It's like how you're not supposed to mix and match batteries. So if your remote control has 2A batteries, you don't swap out one battery with another. You're gonna have to swap out both altogether. It's just safer that way.
So you would recommend just upgrading the whole thing?
It's either you upgrade the whole thing or you retain the same thing without moving it. So you upgrade the rest of your PC, but you have a choice of either upgrading the RAM sticks uh, but you get a pair of them, or you carry it over the same old ones. But you can't like get one RAM stick na upgrade tapos yung luma yung the next one eh.
So they should just get it from us, like the whole thing. From our
Yeah,
delivery.
I think that is what we advocate at the store. What we advocate is you don't mix and match different brands and different models. So
Uh,
if you get a G skill, you make sure it's the same G skill.
well, kasi from the point of view of the shop, parang mahirap if we recommend tapos incompatible pala or system unstable. So, yun nga yung advice natin na or kung baga buy at your own risk, but if you're not willing to take that risk, parang as RJ and Marvin pointed out, kaya naman. Although, kasi online kasi parang palaging nakakatakot na, oh, kailangan all the same, parang ganyan. But, kaya naman in a pinch, I guess. We do have another interesting question from the live chat from Jeff T. He says na, pwede po ba mag-reset ng CMOS while PC is on? Di ko pa na-try yun.
Parang
Guys?
na-try. Parang delix.
Oh, di ba? Parang I wouldn't recommend it. I've never tried it. Kayo.
I can kasi some of the older motherboards have a CMOS button. One of the yung mga mid-range parang feature niya that there's a button. So theoretically you could do it but I've never tried it eh. Parang
Like your PC's on live and then you
oh yeah, kasi it's the button is on the motherboard.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so generally speaking, don't press anything on your motherboard while
When
there's
when
power
it's
on
on,
it,
right?
di ba?
Yeah. Oh, oh god. Don't go messing around there. Okay.
Especially the CMOS.
Yeah.
Sana mag-follow up siya kung why he wants to do that. I think that's a more interesting question. Bakit niya gustong gawin yun?
Ito
Curious lang.
from our guest interview on Sunday, Ergo Gamer asks, how about same brand of RAM but with different frequencies? Will that work? I think RJ already
Yeah, it will work.
already touched on that. That'll work. It'll just default to the slowest speed.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, next question from Jazz. Jazz asks, maganda to. Natural po ba na lumilitaw sa RAM speed? So his system is showing 1,200 megahertz pero oh wait, sorry. Okay. May nag-donate ng 125 pesos sa YouTube. Thank you, Omar Tolentino. So,
Oh wow,
uh,
thank you.
we will answer.
Thank you.
We'll get to your question.
Yeah,
Oh.
whatever you want.
Actually, inactivate ko lang yung super chat na yan para sa chat na to. So, may
Nice.
gumamit. Thank you, Omar. Can you stream using a 3200G along with a GTX 1650 or 1660 Super? Then, Turing encoder. All good na ba yung settings all on low? RJ, you have the most experience with streaming. Ano tingin mo?
Sorry, ano yun? Yung APU?
Yes, 3200G pero may GPU siya na 1650 or 1660 Super.
Well, first off,
Sorry, tas
kaya-
may Turing encoder. I don't know what that is, to be honest.
well, for the 3200G alone, kayang-kaya mag-stream. So, it may not be as optimal as having a dedicated GPU. Pero, by default kasi, when you stream, the programs like OBS, they're gonna help you with default settings. And usually kasi, CPU intensive sila.
Mas CPU si streaming, no? Compared to
Yeah.
GPU
You can
load.
change it sa settings if sobrang lakas na yung GPU mo. So in this case, kung 1650 yung dedicated GPU, then it will definitely help.
Okay. And thank you, Omar. Ikaw yung kauna-unang nag super chat na tip or nagbigay nung tip sa Hardware Sugar. Thank you. So balik tayo
In
kay
the
Jazz.
history, in the history of Hardware Sugar, you'll be
Yeah, yeah,
the first
first
one who gave
ever.
us a tip.
Yeah. I hope
Founders
na you got
edition.
your money's worth from from the question from the answers. So, ito si Jazz, same, may RAM issue, parang yung RAM kasi niya 2400 megahertz to X8, pero lumilitaw sa RAM speed sa system 1200 lang. Is this an XMP issue? What's going on here? Marv?
Uh, as someone who's had this problem over numerous computers, so
Oy, not the
if
one
it's
you
an
bought from
older,
us, ah.
na, yeah, the XMP settings was fixed na no. So if it's a relatively newer computer, 5 years, 4 years. So yeah, it's really just an XMP. Just go to the BIOS, the UFI, and then just press XMP enable. That should fix the timing issues.
Why
But if
doesn't it
it's an
default?
older,
Sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna ask.
Sometimes
Oh,
sometimes it doesn't default. Sometimes you
ah,
have to enable it by ano.
you
Yeah.
really gotta go into the
But
BIOS to ano.
yeah. And most of the time there's only one setting, but if there's more than one settings, just usually choose the highest setting. That should be good.
Okay, Jazz. From Lian. Meron akong potato PC ngayon. It's a gigabyte MOBO. And then the CPU is AMD A8. 8 gigabyte RAM. Tapos GPU is a Radeon 6570. And she is planning to buy 16 gigabytes, so 2x8. Already bought an SSD for OS. That's good. So her question is, with the upgraded RAM and with the SSD, kaya ba ng system niya na... sorry. Question, kaya ba ng system yung mga medj bago na GPU? So she wants to upgrade the graphics card also. And she's expecting to play esports titles. I guess yan yung mga Valorant, yung not so demanding, hindi naman AAA games. But she kept the CPU so the processor is an A8. Thoughts?
Uh, I did a quick check earlier. Actually, kahit mag 570 siya or mag 560 siya, mag-bottleneck na. It will bottleneck na. Because yung
Oh,
GP,
with the
actually, yung
A8.
GPU niya, yeah, the GPU is relatively old. Pero, if she really just has enough money to buy a GPU, buy the best GPU she can get so that later on, when she upgrades, she can still use the GPU, di ba? Parang, don't artificially buy a low GPU para lang bumagay sa system mo. Kasi even if it bottlenecks, with the games you're playing, it really won't matter. And actually, even for Witcher 3, I mean, I've tried running a 4 RX 480 with old AMD Phenom. So, na-bottleneck yung AMD Phenom, but it was still playable.
The Phenom X4? Was that the Phenom X4?
Yeah, 10-year-old CPU.
So nag-bottleneck
Then
sa
I would
GPU? Sorry.
the CPU was the bottleneck. So
Ah.
the CPU could not keep up with the RX 480.
Ooh.
Uh,
Yeah,
RJ?
but to add there also, definitely agree. And in terms of upgrading, it's also a matter of parang an additional question or unmentioned question there is, should I upgrade a GPU or a CPU first? Kasi parang both are currently low end or sa entry level. And the benefits of upgrading, my advice is always the benefits of upgrading a GPU is still better than upgrading only the CPU. You can go very far for several years, keeping a certain CPU, let's say the A8, but still upgrading your GPU. If it's in terms of gaming,
To be honest, I'm not even so familiar kasi when we started before Hardware Sugar, di ko pinapansin yung mga hardware, and then when we started, Ryzen na kasi, so hindi ko na naabutan yung
FX.
yeah, oh, I mean like Marvin and I had the same PC before, yung Phenom Black Edition. I mean that was like 10 something years ago, I think. So
Yeah, 2010.
di ko na naabutan tong
2000.
mga A8 CPUs, but so basically both our experts recommend na kaya naman yung GPU, Although, to be honest, at a certain point, you might just want to upgrade na lang the whole system. I mean, you already got money for SSD, got money for RAM. Um, I don't know. You might want to take a look at that.
Well, RJ, just in case si Lian wants to sell the potato PC, magkano kaya yan? That way, yung funds niyan can go
Oh
straight
yeah.
to just getting a new rig altogether. How much do you think those parts would be?
I can't estimate right now. 65, 70.
I think it's
Lalampas
65,
na lalampas ba to ng 10,000?
Yeah, definitely. Kasi especially kung full setup na may PSU pa, may case, RAM, HDDs. But yes, kung advice, you can definitely use the money to just upgrade completely.
All right, let's go to our next question.
Okay. John asks, upgrade ko sana old PC. Keytech, this is the case. Keytech T850 TG plus R52600 plus MSI B450M. So these are quite new parts. And then Thermaltake PSU. Okay ba? Pa-recommend nga din ng RAM and storage for low budget, please. Tingin ko dito, this is a very good rig already. R52600 plus a modern B450. Kayo, I mean,
Wala siyang
basically...
GPU. Wala siyang GPU.
Yes, wala siyang GPU.
And Ryzen 5 is not an APU, so kailangan niya ng GPU.
Yes, he does need a GPU. Kayo, what would you guys, how would you complete that build?
RJ?
So, what's the CPU? Ryzen 5 what?
R5
2600.
2600. That's a very good CPU.
Already, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to what I mentioned kanina, you can go very far. You don't have to upgrade every year your CPU. You don't have to upgrade every year your GPU. But if you're aiming for gaming talaga, again, upgrading your GPU to the best you can will last really. It'll get you very far.
May personal message, may PM ka dito sa group, sa public chat, RJ. Mika Fabella says, pa-shout out ko kay
Oy!
Lodi.
Hi, Mika.
Variel. Hey, Mika. Thanks for the support. Nice.
Barb, do you any thoughts on like how to complete this build?
Well, I have the same CPU right now. So I did tinesting ko rin yung mga various GPUs. So he can go as low as an RX 560 all the way up to an RX 580 or an RX 590 with that CPU. So, but as far as the build is concerned, 600 watts, yeah, that should be good enough. And I think mas entry level yata yung gusto niya kasi she mentioned low budget storage and RAM. So, this is more actually medyo mid-range na to for non-enthusiasts.
This is a very decent, the specs already are very decent for, parang pang mid-range nga to. Some people kasi think kailangan mid-range, kailangan the latest generation, the 3000 R5 3500, 3500X, but...
And high-powered.
Oh, diba? But this is...
You can get very far with 450 watts.
Yeah. Oh, shoot, sorry.
The money na natipid niya by buying an our Ryzen 5 2600, yung natipid niya versus going a Ryzen 3600, makakabili na siya, konting dagdag na lang ng an entry level GPU. So okay na rin, and it's good kasi it's upgradable. Since the CPU is very good na rin, if he upgrades the GPU down the line, it's very possible na rin.
For storage.
For Rafael, Jed Martin Cruz says, asks for a shoutout.
Sino yan? Hi, Jed. What's up? To add to the question, kasi based on the question, parang wala nakalagay dito kung may SSD na siya dito sa tanong. Right now, SSDs are really cheap. 4 years ago, they were very expensive. Ngayon, may 120 gigabytes na SSD ngayon for 2,010 pesos WD. So if you don't have yet a single SSD, you can actually just get that one and put your OS on that. Ayun talaga, sobrang bilis ng ano yun, ng boot up ng OS. I mean, just to start off, if you don't have an SSD yet, now is really a great time to buy one.
I agree. We always recommend SSD sa mga build natin sa shop. Omar, the same Omar just asks again kung kaya ba yung 3200G and then to put in a 1660 to start streaming. I think we safely answered that na yes, okay yun for streaming. You have the 3200G as the CPU, and then as RJ pointed out, the GPU will be carrying most of the load for the gaming, and then kaya naman ng 3200 CPU to run OBS and to do the other streaming things. From John Wick, who is a long time Facebook supporter. Thanks so much, Jan. I remember your name kasi John Wick, di ba? Makakalimot ng pangalan. He's asking sa chat kung safe ba yung liquid metal, like yung conducto knot, from Thermal Grizzly instead of thermal paste para sa AI, ROG, AIO na Ryujin. Actually, I'm super excited to try. We just recently got stuck kasi nung liquid metal. So excited ako subukan sa build. But several people actually have come to me to ask na okay ba yun in the long term? Hindi ba masisira yung part? And to be honest, hindi ko naman naisip na magbebenta yung Thermal Grizzly nung ganun. But again, I don't have any experience with liquid metal in general. So, kayo, what are your what have you heard about liquid metal? Tas okay, yun nga, long-term damage on the component.
Haven't tried it yet eh.
Ako din, hanggang thermal paste. Hanggang thermal
Same,
paste lang ko
same.
eh. Sige, Janwick, we'll table that question. To be honest, you medyo stumped our panel. I also have I was excited to get the product kasi nga parang bago siya. That and the thermal pads, 'di ba? Parang yan yung innovation sa beyond thermal paste. But sige, we'll research on that and get back to you. Next question from Stinks. Ask ko lang po, I have an R3 to 200G, one stick of 8 GB RAM, no video card. Kailangan po ba ng video card para smooth ang stream ko? Basically, he's asking, can I just stream on the lone 200G and one 8 GB RAM?
Mm, I believe you, like I as I mentioned or answered earlier. Yes, you can stream, but lower settings, and it might struggle because of the 8 gig of RAM as well. So depending on your game, Windows 10 pa lang, it will eat up a lot or bulk of your RAM na eh. Especially if you,
Just
it
the
really
OS?
depends.
Yeah.
Oo, if you open four tabs of Chrome,
Ah,
medyo bagal na yan.
GG na yan, no?
So yeah, it really depends what your applications are. If you're on Twitch, tapos OBS, so having more RAM might actually be a better first step than a dedicated GPU.
Or even upgrading the CPU.
Yes.
Rafael or Marvin?
Marv, go ahead.
Well, for streaming, I have very little experience. So I defer to to you guys on
Okay.
that.
Well, I don't know the specifics, but right now I have, well, among everyone here in the panel, I have the best rig right now with an RTX 2080 Ti, and I still had a hard time. If you saw our latest stream, like maybe 4 days ago with Rainbow Six Siege, I don't know. Maybe my settings aren't fully optimized, but if I'm having a hard time, I don't know. I think you might have a hard time with the Ryzen 3 to 200G.
Yeah, but I have a really old rig. Tapos naka-stream naman ako no problem nung Wolfenstein na medyo, I mean, it's not an old game.
That's true.
FPS.
That's true. What do you think? You would have. I mean, you're the one. Ano yun, parang mid-range yung PC mo ngayon eh.
I don't know how my PC i5 4690K stacks up to 200G eh. I don't just naka-crossfire din ako na RX 480, so it's kind of hard to compare eh. But consensus I think is sort of RJ's answer na kaya pero really low
Low
settings,
settings.
and yeah, you to get the cheapest bang for your buck, like upgrade RAM first before putting a GPU or putting another CPU, upgrading a CPU.
And to add lang, an unmentioned factor which is quite big for streaming is your internet speed.
Ah,
So
yes. Right.
your bit
Kung,
rate,
kung
especially
PLDT ka,
upload. So uploading, the upload speed is very important. No, you can have like, as you mentioned, no, you can have a entry level PC pero kung 100 Mbps yung upload speed mo, kayang-kaya depending on some tweaking lang.
actually, Anian, I have a question just to connect. How does
You're
the
supposed to answer
Elgato
questions,
support?
not ask questions.
No. Someone asked this, Anian, the other day via the Facebook chat. Can she can she use the Elgato to help boost
Oi,
a
sorry,
rig?
sorry, Rafael. Mr. Guerra, the one you posted about on our Facebook page, is watching, and he did leave a comment na good to see you guys streaming. So shout out, sir. Thank you
Hi,
for
Alan. Thanks, we
thanks
Anian.
for
Thank you for Anian for choosing us, and well, everyone thinks that you're a great dad based post. So kudos to you.
keep it up. Sorry, we're asking about the Elgato.
Yeah, can they use the Elgato to boost their rig, which is an in? Essentially, she's asking with a low rig, can the Elgato help propel it forward
For
for
streaming.
streaming? Yeah,
The capture
parang
card?
siyang
That's the capture
yeah
card, di ba?
yeah parang can it supplement a already old rig? And if so, by how much?
Sorry, RJ, that goes to you again. Like, kasi the three of
No,
us, wala masyadong
I
streaming.
no, I'm just gonna say outright I don't have Elgato experience or having a dedicated streaming card or deck. So I can't honestly answer that.
Sige,
I
let's...
think what people usually use that for is more of games or platforms that you can't have on the PC. So let's say kung mag-stream ka ng
PS4.
PS4 or Switch, they go towards Elgato.
One
In
of
which
our...
case, that's actually a good idea for stinks. So just in case your PC can't handle streaming PC games, that means you can stream other things like the PlayStation 5 or your cell phone actually. So that's an alternative. So I mean if you want to build a streaming career, but your problem is the PC, you don't have a PC that and it can run the games, but you have a PS5, then start there and then work your way up. Say you already have the components, the hardware.
One of our customers, one of our very early customers actually does use kasi I asked him, he does stream PS4 games. I asked him paano nga yung capture. He did mention na he uses a capture card. Parang I think also they're used, like if you want to use a webcam, sorry, if you want to use like a SLR camera as your webcam, you can connect it to a capture card or something. But yun nga, again, we're very new. We're very new with the whole streaming hardware. Hindi ko pa masyado kabisado. But we are starting to carry them in the shop. And for those of you watching, magkaka-restock ulit actually ng Elgato next Monday. We had some HD S60, then an X60 Plus. We're gonna be getting more of those next week. Anyway, plug lang para sa inventory ng shop. Next question from G Ho Song, who is Filipino because he asks in Tagalog. Ask ko lang po, R5 3600 at GTX 1660. So it's an R5 3600 so GTX 1660. Okay na ba yun for AutoCAD, SketchUp, Lumion, video editing, and rendering? So the use case is
Yeah.
basically CAD and video editing.
Uh, I would say definitely. It it's I think it's more than good enough. Kasi 1660 ba? 1660.
1660.
1660 or even yeah, the TI version. It's just trailing behind the 2060. So it's slightly higher than the RX 580. And RX 580 alone is usable more than you'll be more than comfortable for applications like AutoCAD.
And actually, itong use case na to, video editing or AutoCAD or computer aided design, that's one of the few use cases na we recommend if you can, kung kaya ng budget na mag 32 gigabytes of RAM kasi RAM does really add a lot to rendering, editing, and CAD things. Beyond, like kung di mo gagamitin yung computer mo para dyan, usually hanggang 16 lang rin recommend namin kasi actually you only really need 16 even for high-end gaming or things like that. It's only for this use case talaga na either server or yung nga, rendering or video editing na we recommend 32 gigabytes. Marv?
Ang the only input I have is I just watched a YouTuber who's a architect, and yeah, sabi niya
Parang
talaga RAM
parang
is king.
parang kilala ko yung YouTuber na yan.
Yeah.
Ra-
So talaga emphasize ko talaga RAM.
we ask clients when they come in, are gonna use it for gaming, ano ba yung use case, parang ganon. Rafael?
Well, actually, if we're still talking about RAM, can I just say that the store has sold like 5 PCs sometimes, and they've decked out all the RAM slots, but not for what you think. The reason as to why they decked it out is para they can make it all blue or all red, RGB lahat ng RAM slots. So they don't. Lots of customers sometimes they just really want to overspend sometimes just to make their PC look cool. Kasi the RAM stick becomes a cosmetic item which makes the PC look cool. But again, if you're gonna use it now for gaming, you don't need to overkill it. But hell, if you guys want to pimp your PC, we won't stop you. We'll help you out. But just to keep in mind, when you see like YouTubers with all the RAM slots full, you don't really need it. Okay, so save yourself the hassle also and disappointment when you realize it doesn't actually make your game faster.
Actually, yes, we
uso
do.
ngayon.
Wait,
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the FB comments has a good point. Si Oden Zappa, he says, or if you have 200 Chrome tabs. So as someone who doesn't close any Chrome tabs, totoo yan. So my 16 GB of RAM does help as compared to
Man.
my old 8 gigabyte, 12 gigabyte.
Yan yung use case na kailangan, that's why, yan yung kailangan mong maraming RAM because of one
Yeah.
because of one browser. Yeah, we do get a lot of customers na aesthetics yung habol kaya pinupuno yung apat.
Oh,
Although we
yes.
do have a product na thermal take na parang pantakip siya dun sa RAM. So
Peke.
yeah, so not all of the RAM slots are filled, but the whole thing looks
Like a
like na
heat sink?
Yeah.
Or just
Parang it's a cap over the entire thing, then RGB yung ano. So parang naka-RGB silang lahat.
That's nice.
main direction ng PC,
Oh. I mean for yung aesthetics lang.
Oo.
Okay. From Jack. Hello, poser. May tanong lang ako. This is a good one. So may PSU siya, tapos isang beses, flinip ko yung switch ng PSU, nagka-spark, tapos may zzz na sound. Pero nung binuksan ko naman ulit, gumagana naman yung computer. No burning smell. Ginamit niya for 2 to 3 hours na continuous, parang okay naman, gumagana naman, yun nga, nothing out of the ordinary. So basically, he's wondering, okay pa ba yun? Is it safe to keep running his computer? The PSU in question is an EVGA for 50 watts na BV. BV yung model.
It might. So, once lang nangyari yun? Or
Based
it
on
happened?
the question, parang once lang.
It could have just been loose connection, like very minute na So maybe he can just simply unplug all the cables, the power cables, and then replug them lang. Baka mawala na yung issue.
Parang safe naman.
Mm-mm.
Gumana naman siya eh. Yun nga, he had it running for 3 hours
Yun nga.
after. Yeah. Marv?
It's
Pero
either it works or doesn't naman.
It'll blow up or it
I
won't,
I
diba?
would back up.
Yes, yeah.
I would back up everything
Yes.
na.
Yeah.
Oo.
Kasi not even with hindi laging recoverable ang files, and PSU glitches are one of the biggest killers of OS.
Actually,
yes, that's true.
Marvin is one of the few people I personally know na nakagamit na nung data recovery. Kasi diba one time nag-fail yung hard drive mo or something, tapos may files ka dun na important.
Yeah, nagka-lightning strike.
Ay,
So
yeah.
nagka-brown out for like
Name
2
hard
seconds,
save.
3 seconds. And then wala na. Luckily, I was able to recover it that time, but when it happened the second time, hindi na gumana yung old faithful tools ko. I had to rely on new tools na hindi ganun ka swabe yung pagka-recover.
grabe.
It's not worth it. Recover. I mean,
Yes.
backup.
It
Ano,
similar rin, parang bumigay yung isang PSU ko back in 2012, 2010. And then um after getting a new PSU, testing everything out, ayaw mag-on. And after further tests, parang pinatay nung old PSU ko yung PCIe slot for my GPU.
wow,
Ouch.
ah.
So, unusable na yung motherboard ko.
Walang ibang PCIe slot. I mean, of the same
No,
speed.
oo, yun lang. Uh,
Actually, that's why we always recommend to get a good quality PSU. Medyo tempting kasi na bumili ng mura kasi hindi sexy yung PSU, hindi siya graphics card, hindi siya RGB. But that's one of the parts that we really say don't wag mo i-budget yung PSU
Tipirin.
kasi wag tipirin kasi it's really super important to the entire health of the system. From the chats, Ralph Jacobo from YouTube says shout out to Rafael from a fellow Terran player. And
Hey, yo.
actually, RJ has a shout out from Unboxing Hands. All caps, RJ, lakasan mo naman boses mo. Exclamation
Actually, I
point.
think I think RJ's voice is fine because if he and he makes it louder,
Ah,
it'll cover the whole chat now.
oh, wait, we have a second, we have a second tip. I mean, somebody actually paid to do the super chat from Paul Hornelia from YouTube. And the
Oh, hi,
question is,
Paul.
yeah, thank you for the donation tip. Yep. How long does a brand new GPU last? Used mostly in gaming and AutoCAD. And do I need an AVR? Guys?
Okay, I'll take that. Number one, I don't know because about the AVR thing. The AVR, it's customary. I think in the Philippines to always have the AVR and just to expect that the worst will always happen. So ako, just get it. For instance, I always tell all the customers that I've been using the same Akari AVR for the past 10 years and it still hasn't died. Next, sorry, what's the question again? Broth?
How long does a brand new GPU last?
GP?
I'm not
Ah,
sure if like that's the life of the GPU or how long is it good like for AAA games. I mean the
I think
effective life.
I think just as long as you get a GPU that isn't defective, there are no flaws in it internally. I think the GPU will last the whole life of your PC. You'll actually probably get bored using the card before it actually dies. However, kung nasiraan ka ng card, that's probably because the overheating PC mo or you're not taking care of your PC. So sometimes it's not the fault of the part. It's your fault also. Kasi you can't just let the PC bake under the sun.
Or
Yun nga,
or, or,
our
or
last
run
question was,
or run at CPU 100 load, ha?
or
Speaking
yeah,
of PCs
like
na
what I
sobrang
did.
init, ha?
I left my CPU on to work 99% load pala for 4 months.
Ang init
Uh,
nung case talaga niya. I
yeah,
was
ang init
wondering.
ng case ko eh.
I was wondering
And
what's going
yeah,
on here.
yeah,
smart.
if you guys want to see more about that, I have a Facebook post on it on the hardware sugar thing. I control alt delete the task manager to notice nga that there was a program using 95% of the CPU 24/7 while I was playing Call of Duty. So you can imagine the PC was playing Call of Duty and the CPU was already being used for something else entirely. Yun, that is poor management. That's user error na. So if my card breaks down, fault ka talaga yan. So you have to make sure also you take care of your stuff. All right, I'm done. Anyone else?
On the usability for AAA games, so I bought in 2010. I bought a 5850 or an HD 5850, which was the second second
At the time.
tier at that time GPU. So siguro after 5 years, I really had to lower settings to medium na
But not bad after
for
5 years.
AAA games. Yeah. Tapos, nung mga banda dulo na, ano na talaga, yung iba, I really had to turn off the settings, yung mga AA, yun. So, I guess, usability, 4 years, 5 years, if you're not really bothered by lower graphics.
RJ?
In terms of, it's just more of like lifespan. Parang, let's say, upgrading
It's hard
after
to
a
tell
few
from the
years.
question eh. Parang the question is how long does a brand new GPU last? Used mostly in gaming and AutoCAD.
If it's lifespan, it will definitely I think
Outlive you, right? I mean, di ba? Kung
Yeah.
technically, parang,
uh 7 years was like the longest one I had before it really gave up. And yeah, you don't really need to upgrade if it's healthy, and if like what Rocky just mentioned, as long as you take care of it. And taking care of it doesn't just mean you turn it off
sorry,
every
Paul,
day.
Paul, the questioner actually added na lifespan. So he's asking about lifespan.
Ah,
So I
Yeah,
think
It
we're
can
all in
last long.
agreement. Yeah, it can last a long time. Even
it can
on,
last. It's a processor, and it depends a lot, of course, on cooling as it gets hot. So having a decent cooling system and airflow in your PC, and also your surroundings. So you can have a decent cooled PC, pero sa tabi pala ng window, tapos sobrang init, nakababad lang. It will really affect the lifespan of all the components.
tsaka baka you can do regular maintenance like after 2 or 3 years, parang reapply thermal paste or things like that. Just normal maintenance to
Yes.
keep it tip top.
just clean the fans then.
Yeah, yeah, the
Oo,
blower
laking
fans.
tulong nun.
Oh. We do actually have another tip from Eric Altuna, but Eric has no question. He just says, and I quote, pair character stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb up. I don't know if this is an icon and then the chat kasi I'm viewing it to restream won't show the icon, but thanks so much Eric. This is the character forward raising his thumb up. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Um so to get back to Jack, parang kung gumagana, gumagana. But back up your files. Next question. From an R2D2 fan, because his name is R2 Durmi, then his picture is an R2D2. Lalabas ba ang RTX 30 series Founders Edition sa Philippines? Please answer the question. Um, I don't know, hindi ko nasundan yung last 2000 series. Lumabas ba yung Founders dito noong 2000? Does anyone remember?
I don't know. RJ?
2000. Sorry, what's the
Ah,
main question?
lalabas ba ang RTX 3000 series Founders Edition in the Philippines? Like, will it be locally available?
I'm not sure if it was available here. The ones I know of who got them
Galing
in the
States?
Philippines. Yes, they had it shipped through, let's say, shipping cart or John Air.
Kasi my understanding for the Founders is na it's basically a stock. It's like the reference card, diba? Without any... I mean, that's
Right.
basically what the other brands do. They just add their own thing to the stock card. But the Founders Edition is like the way God slash Nvidia intended it na di ba parang yun yung pristine. So who sells that? Nvidia. That's direct from Nvidia.
I would think, yeah.
'Di ba? Kung it's like the stock card. To answer the question, we're not sure. Although Drudism from YouTube, from YouTube says I don't think they release them here. Um, Hardware Sugar, the shop, us, we do not have Nvidia as a direct supplier. We deal with MSI, Asus, Asrock, which do not release the Founders Edition. Yun nga, stock kasi yung Founders. So I don't know. We've never carried the Founders Edition. I would not know how to get one. Mm, so parang ganun yung gist na if you want it, you need to get it gray market. Like yun nga, have it shipped from the States or something. Ay parang malabo if anybody carries it here. But this is our halfway point where like we'll have 5 minute break from the questions and we'll talk about actually the RTX 3000 series kasi marami nga nagtatanong and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Daming na hype up dun sa announcement eh. Rafael?
We think that we'll be carrying it in the store and the earliest by December. So everyone who's asking to pre-order, I'm just gonna tell you guys outright. Like we don't even know who to ask for the pre-order right now because they would want to have the series already. So if we had right now, we just don't know when. But it's in our best interest to have it. So yun, and it makes money. So we're gonna get it. You just don't know when.
Marvin?
Oh, well, yung when RTX first came out, yung nakita ko online was a battle between everyone was saying this is the
This is the
new
future.
generation of video
Yeah.
cards, and then
Ray
yung
tracing, yo,
next
ray
pushback
tracing.
was the next pushback was what the hell is it for, diba? So pero from what I'm seeing dito sa RTX 3000 series, the fact that the price has gone down significantly. I mean, the 70 is the 80 is priced the same as the 70 of the 20. So the 2070. So for those enthusiasts who have a little more budget, uh, maybe one day tayo, Anton.
Wala pa tayo dun sa category na yun. Oh.
Pag may nag-return ng RTX 370, dibs ha, dibs.
May konting gas balik na yan. Oh. Atin na yan. RJ?
In terms of like waiting,
Uh,
parang upgrade path.
no, more like your thoughts on the cards themselves. Like,
Mm,
is it worth waiting? If they'll come out like end of the year dito locally, or would you still buy AMD? I mean, just basically like general
right.
thoughts on the launch of the 3000s.
Well, for the 3000 series, I think it's really, I think the hype, and this is coming from an AMD fan.
Ah,
I
okay.
think the hype it's really matching their performance it's promising, especially for the recent tests that have been popping up sa YouTube. Uh, for one, parang I think 16 gig yung standard, no? That it'll come in. Tama ba?
I haven't
16,
I'm not too sure.
16 gig
Is the base
DDR RAM.
Yeah.
So that's a huge leap coming from, let's say, my 5700 XT, which is 11 gig. That's a lot more, let's say, shader space. You can definitely max out graphics for a lot of AAA games now for the same for a lower price. And um, for me, any release, AMD or Nvidia, is great. It's great for the community and the it brings or drives competition. So they're just gonna make things lower and compete with each other. And in the end, we win.
Grabe ka naman,
I
parang
like that.
beauty pageant Oh,
Yeah.
kaway naman
World
siya.
peace.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Um, for me, just like very briefly, I did a preview on the 3000 series like in June. And then yun nga, even before the previews were like, yeah, it's gonna be better and it's gonna be cheaper. But once na-confirm talaga yun, I think Nvidia really hit it out of the park. I'm with RJ. Actually, I prefer AMD usually kasi market dominant si Nvidia. And I like rooting for the underdog. I think competition is good.
Underdog.
Yeah, but I mean, they're really attractive. I mean, the price and performance are inversely proportional. Their price dropped, but their performance like shot through the roof. So really, parang home run for Nvidia. And it's hard for me in hardware sugar to recommend AMD now kasi ang labo nung drivers nung like 5700 the RX 5700 the current medyo high end nung AMD, and then moving forward you have the 3000 series nung Nvidia, which really the performance is so, I mean, it's really amazing what they were able to do with the next leap in generation. So um we will try to stock both, but just the short answer is sobrang na-impress ako dun sa Nvidia na even yun nga, the hype was already the previous were like, yeah, it's gonna be really good, but parang they blew away when they announced na it is really as good as we were saying it was. So, and there's that weird thing with the connector, like they put a new connector, so you might need a different power cable, but it'll ship with adapters, so it will be compatible with existing PSUs. So even just that na, yeah, let's not hassle the customer. I mean, and that makes sense naman from Nvidia's point of view. Um, Next question from Bikerstagram. Pa-advise naman, ano yung best budget B55 mobile?
Just a quick answer.
B550, you mean, not B55.
Sorry,
Yeah,
B550.
five
Yeah.
five fifty.
That I would say just quickly that B550, from my understanding, kasi I have the, I think, MSI uh, gaming Wi-Fi. But B550 is basically marketed as a it's premium eh. It's in a weird spot where it came after the X570, but it's more expensive or as expensive with with more premium parts
But the
such
feature
as
set
the
of the X570 is still better than the B550, di ba? Parang ganun yung ano, ganun yung dating.
some are pero yeah, it's in a weird parang launch space or launch time, pero premium siya. So right off the bat, parang you go for brands like Asrock who are more budget friendly, and then you go towards the M series, so B550M, which is M80X. So size matters here, where the smaller it is, of course, the less you're gonna pay.
We do have the B550 Steel Legend from Asrock in the store on stock now. Just saying. Marv?
Well, I guess yung range where it is in the range of premium versus budget. But I guess yung tinatanong din nung question is for all the B550s, what's a good for value
Yeah.
model? So I guess sinagot na ni RJ on that. The Asrock I think is one good recommendation. And uh, just to say good things about Asrock, I have a 10-year-old Asrock motherboard that's still running to this day. So it's pretty good.
Quality naman.
But of course, iba-iba naman yung product runs. But generally, if the MSI wasn't a good price point when I bought my newest motherboard, I would have gone for an Asrock.
My 2 cents on the B550 is because we've already had 5 customers in the past week alone, okay, complain about this problem is sometimes we build a PC after they've approved the parts only for them to realize, sir, paano i-connect yung Wi-Fi? Walang Wi-Fi yung B550 Mobo na binili nila. So I have to be the one to say, wala eh. Kasi that B550 doesn't have Wi-Fi. So to answer your question, what model would you prefer? One question first is, do you need Wi-Fi integrated into the motherboard? If so, then you've already limited a lot of choices. Mas konti talaga yung choices na ano yung mga available na B550 na may Wi-Fi. And if you're going to ask me about, hindi ba pwede ilagay na lang ng dongle? Yung Wi-Fi dongle is not as good compared to a fully integrated Wi-Fi part into the motherboard directly. So if you're going to pick a B550, ask yourself, kailangan mo ba ng Ethernet cable para sa router or you really need Wi-Fi? Because lots of people apparently need Wi-Fi for their PCs. So that's one way to look at it.
Okay. Next question. Um, okay, actually, this is a build question. So he's saying na I'm not really going to play AAA games, usually mga League of Legends, Valorant, etc. He wants basically budget performance na mid-range, and this is his build. R5 3600X, GTX 1660 Ti, B55M Mortar MSI, 16GB RAM na 3200 MHz, M.2 for SSD, and 650 watts na PSU. So actually, nasagot ko na to, I DM'd him directly and I said na your PC isn't budget, sobrang solid mid-range to or
Yes.
even medyo shading into the
True.
high end. But I just wanted to get the panel's thoughts on like that's gonna crush Valorant or LOL. I mean, you can, di ba? Parang what do you for those
What
specs?
what was the GPU?
1660 Ti
16.
Oh yeah,
He
that's more
doesn't
than
mention
enough.
kung ano resolution. Though.
that he wants to
That's
play
No,
the
he
game.
does. It's at the bottom. Monitor.
No,
No,
he
the
says the
games.
hertz lang. He says does he says 1080p or does he game at ano?
No, he didn't say anything about the what hertz he
Res-
plays. I don't
resolution.
play
No.
na I don't play na gustong gusto ko na ultra settings ang games ko. Medium to
Okay.
high is enough for me. And then yun nga, the games are not the AAA na usual suspects.
On just to quickly chime in, parang 1080p, we'll just assume since he didn't mention anything higher or give info. Yeah, parang passing in flying with flying colors na yun. 1660 Ti. If he even goes up to 2K resolution, which is the next step, or higher um refresh rate, I think very competitive pa rin ang 1660 Ti.
You can
And that's why
play
Nvidia released it. It's a good spot for the price.
you can play AAA games with those specs and
Mm.
have very decent, like very good performance as well. Hindi lang I mean you don't
Nilang medium graphics.
oh yeah,
Mm.
you don't need to restrict yourself.
A lot a lot of gaming laptops now are based on 60 or are running 1660 Ti.
Yeah, that's their default card that they stick
Mm.
into the gaming.
1650, 1660.
Yung mga Acer Predator, mga ganun.
Oh,
Okay. Next up, we have Bell Cranel. Hello, sir. Pwede ba po yung two different RAM brands with same megahertz? Again, a RAM question. I included this kasi I just wanted to show na we really do get a lot of RAM questions and I'm thinking of doing a YouTube video on it na I'm just sticking different RAMs into the motherboard. Um, but nasagot na natin to kanina and yes, it was RJ, 'di ba? Na sino na nakagawa nito? Na
Si
different
yeah,
RJ.
ako.
yeah, different brands, 'di ba? Yeah. Sa
Right.
personal experience.
Crucial and
G
G
skill.
skill.
Yeah. And
So
not
kaya.
even the same megahertz, 'di ba? Different speeds ba?
Yes. Um, if I'm not mistaken, specifically, yung example ko lang kanina was 3,000, 2,600. Their sa akin was 2133 and 2,400. So it both went down to 2133.
They'll throttle down to the slowest
Uh,
in the system. Okay. Next question is from Rokrokon PH. Konting tulong lang po sa mga may alam sa PC. Okay pa ba ang Intel Core i3 4th Gen GTX 1050 Ti for streaming mobile games lang? Anyone? I would think so kung mobile lang naman,
yeah, definitely.
'di ba? Kung
16,
Yeah, kasi
16.
wait, if I'm just basing it on the science here, kasi kung mobile game, talking about the cell phone, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That means that cell, depending on how good your cell phone is, that cell phone will be the one taking the bulk of the processing power, and then your PC will just be in charge of using all of itself to stream. So I think it depends also on anong klaseng cellphone mo. I think that's important to also know.
I guess, yeah. Kasi basically the processing power will come from the cell phone. Siya yung nagpapatakbo sa game. And the PC is just a conduit for the streaming.
It's just
To be honest, kasi never ko pa nasubukan mag-stream ng mobile game. I see a lot of it online, but never ko pa nasubukan. RJ or Marv, have you guys ever tried that na with the cell phone pero naka-stream?
No, I've never streamed so.
Oo.
yeah. I've seen people do it, and ang alam ko, the person who I was following nung binigit niya yung specs niya, I do remember thinking na, uy, mababa lang yung specs.
Tas
But
kaya.
of course, yeah, of course yung stream quality was a little grainy. Baka that had an impact too.
Hilda Lang TV from YouTube asks, okay lang ba na walang fresh air pumapasok sa PC? Puro out po kasi yung nag-install, puro out lang yung airflow. So there's no intake, it's all exhaust. Kayo?
I don't think that would destroy the PC, but I would say gradually, it may not last long compared to having I think positive airflow. So usually one or two intake fans. So just make sure it's going straight through your PC, and outward on the top and back.
Marv?
The other problem with that setup is if you're not guiding the air where it's going to come in, it's going to find other holes in your computer to go in. Kasi syempre, di ba, the air has to come from somewhere. And since it's not a dedicated fan space, malabong may dust filters ka. So papasok siya sa mga butas-butas ng computer mo na walang filter. So lahat ng dust papasok doon. That's the danger of having no dedicated intake fan na walang dust filter.
So basically, hindi masisira kaagad, pero definitely not optimal. Madali lang naman yun ayusin actually. Move the fans around. It's sort of an easy fix. But yun nga, it's not like you'll turn it on the neck bukas, tapos sira na siya kaagad. Over time, as mentioned by RJ and Marvin, a lot of the problems will start cropping up. Although, to be fair, yung thermal issues, parang medyo advanced users na yung nag-iisip nun eh. Yung good airflow, saan papasok yung clean air, saan mabubuga yung mainit na exhaust. So, not good, but something that you can fix naman. Next question, and this is our last pre-canned question from Dubu YT. Bakit po kaya laging nagbo-blue screen yung PC? Bagong binila. Brand new siya. Guys, thoughts on the blue screen of death?
Orig ba yung Windows niya?
That's one question, yeah.
Savage.
No, I mean, sorry. As someone who knows someone else who has pirated Windows in the past, someone else, not me, no admission of guilt on air here. From what I heard from him, a lot of his blue screen problems
came from the pirated.
Went away when he finally bit the bullet and bought semi-legal version of Windows.
Sorry, is this Windows 10? What version? Win 7? I'm just curious.
Win 7, if I remember correctly, I'm not clear because it's not me.
Yeah.
So Windows 7, the pirated, and then when he switched to Windows 10, no more blue screens. So baka kasi sometimes if you download the pirated version of Windows, if it's from either an incompetent or a malicious packager,
hindi maganda yung crack.
you could have problems. Hindi maganda yung crack.
I think there's I think I've discussed this with you guys before, and there are definitely several factors that can play into a blue screen or even black screen of death, and that you can easily isolate it by testing. Let's say for hardware, you can try removing all the connections and then just replugging them, or if it's dirty, and seeing if it happens again. And if it does, maybe it's software already, as you mentioned, no. And then maybe cleaning out the drivers, and if everything's been cleaned out, no viruses, maybe it's the OS like you mentioned. And I've come across that before, and having a clean slate, just reinstalling Windows, fixed everything.
Sa bagay, no? I mean, when he says bago yung computer, it means kung kaka-assemble lang, baka mamaya the assembler made a mistake, hindi nakaseat yung RAM fully, or hindi naka-connect yung heatsink or whatever. Yeah.
Power pins, dami.
I think with my experience man with the blue screen of death, it's always been the hard drive. But this is for yung mga lumang HDD.
Your boot up drive?
But yeah, the boot up drive. Because it's always doing this something dump. Memory dump, I think. Do you remember that? Seeing it along the blue screen of death?
Yeah, the RAM does that. It tells you what was on the RAM.
Okay. But I remember I had to replace my hard drive. This happened to me twice. And then, because I remember I reformatted and I reinstalled Windows, but the problem still continued. And then I changed it to hard drive. Because you just have to imagine that the hard drive just keeps spinning and spinning. So baka bago yung PC, pero baka luma yung hard drive. Lots of people like getting new parts, but then they don't want to start fresh They don't want to like download all the programs again. Sometimes we just plug in someone's old hard drive in, tapos they'll be like, ay, bakit sira na? Eh, kasi baka kasi luma yung isang part, and then bago yung iba eh. And then that part, especially that hard drive kasi has a fan, and it's just spinning. So if you've had that hard drive for, you can imagine, like 3, 5 years, it's been spinning for 5 years. Tapos you're gonna add that with a PC which is new. I mean, just in case si Dubu YT has a old hard drive pa.
As pointed out by the panel and by Drudism on YouTube, yung hirap sa BSOD, it it covers so many things can contribute na bakit ka nag blue screen of death. So without any further information, and this is true for all tech problems, if you're asking a question, not just sa amin pero to anyone in general, nagtatanong ka, it's best to be as specific as possible. Ano yung system? Nangyayari lang ba siya for certain programs or at certain times? Kasi yung troubleshooting parang nina-narrow down mo eh. Oh, it's not the RAM kasi na-reset ko na yung RAM. Sinubukan ko na sa isang computer, gumagana naman. So it's really a process of elimination kaya di rin talaga namin masagot yung tanong because the blue screen of death is so general. Ergo, who we are interviewing on Sunday again at 3 p.m. If please tune in. Regarding the mobile game stream question, kasi nagsi-stream nga talaga si Ergo, it also depends on how you're going to capture the mobile game. Kung Elgato or some other means. Kasi may mga software workarounds where you can bypass an Elgato type hardware. So you don't, kumbaga, wala nang hardware encoder and connect your mobile phone directly to the PC. In that case, your PC is the one processing the game, will do most of the heavy lifting. And as such, you'll need it na mas malakas yung PC. Kailangan mas malakas yung PC kasi siya yung nagpapatakbo ng game pati ng stream. So thank you to Ergo. Baka we should get Ergo on the show. Parang marami siyang experience din sa streaming. But
G.
yeah. Anyway, he'll have his own dedicated show on Sunday. Please tune in for that kasi sobrang henyo niyan si Robert sa gaming. And we'll be talking about Magic the Gathering and other games.
Wow.
So actually, Dubu was the last question, but we do have more. Parang wrap up na lang. We do have 3 last questions. This is the first one from Shion Kaisan. Kasi I'm always advocating sa shop and sa YouTube na SSD. Sobrang laking quality of life ng SSD. And Shion commented on one of the videos na, personally, I don't have an SSD yet. Kasi katulad ng iba na nagsabi, mahal. And sabi sa Linus Tech Tips, hindi naman siya ganun ka-noticeable talaga kung di ka heavy user. And I just and I know all of us watch LTT. Was Linus saying like baka for M.2 versus SATA or NVMe versus SATA, but just like from regular hard drive to SATA, I can't believe that LTT would that's the advice.
Wait, I think what he is saying, I don't know the exact Linus Tech Tip video he watched, but maybe he was referencing if you're playing a game and the game is on an SSD as compared to an HDD. Because for me, when I game, I really don't care so much. I don't care so much if it's on HDD or SSD. Because right now, Call of Duty is just so big, so I can't fit that in my SSD. And when I'm playing it on my HDD, I can't tell. I mean, it's still very playable. So I think Anton, where you're coming from is baka he doesn't notice baka he doesn't know the Windows boot up. Kasi you love SSD more for the Windows boot up as opposed to yung mga gaming and stuff.
I do. My boot up drive is SSD, but my games also run off SSD. Like I have a dedicated SSD for the games. It's weird for me that Linus would say that there's no noticeable difference except for heavy users. I don't know if anyone else saw that particular video or that comment from Linus.
No, I don't think I've come across that video. And to answer his concern or question, I personally do think SSD plays a big role and definitely improves the experience overall for PC gaming or even just Windows.
Windows,
So
super, yeah, OS, quality
Windows.
of
the
life.
boot time
Yeah.
from like what 45 seconds,
Yeah.
it's now 10.
Actually,
So
just about the boot up time. You know that when you start Windows now, nawala na yung bar. Kasi I just remembered now. So Windows XP or Windows, well, going back, there used to be a bar
It's a
that
circle
was,
now.
yeah, it's a circle. It's a
It's a
circle.
dotted.
Yeah, but basta ano yan, wala na yan. I mean, it's just, well, at least
Yeah,
if you have an SSD, it just plays after 3 seconds. I don't even
just a
remember nga
blink.
ever seeing a bar or a circle.
Yeah, and then for gaming, which is a concern for a lot of people using SSDs, loading times again. So, if for my personal experience, if the games you play are, let's say, Valorant, Dota, and you all start at the same time, you all wait for each other's load times. It won't matter as much. But let's say if you're playing with like from World of Warcraft, you're loading a whole map of Azeroth. So it cuts down like loading time by a minute. And then for Battlefield, if you just enter an ongoing game, it really does improve the load times.
Marv?
Yeah, on the loading times for on PC games, yeah, it's a big difference, especially for map intensive games. And just a small benefit to online games like Valorant specifically, because Valorant kasi is notorious for having weird network issues or dati before there are bugs where you have to restart your game or your computer to get rid of the bugs. So with an SSD, you can pretty much do it and only be out 1 or 2 rounds. But if you try to do that with an HDD, most of the time you'd be timed out by the game before you could come back. So having an SSD, it's really a big thing to start things, to load things. But yeah, in terms of when the game is running without loading something, I haven't really noticed a difference too.
I play a lot of single player, so like Mass Effect is infamous for having to load levels, like the elevators, diba? Parang sobrang infamous yung Mass Effect, tas with the elevator
Right.
music. So I do like SSDs, but yes, as Rafael pointed out, I really do recommend them for quality of life, especially for Windows. For somebody, Jack Sanko from YouTube actually pointed out in the comments that it's the HDD versus SSD video of LTT. So I guess I'll check that out
We'll
after
check
the
it
live
out.
stream. Yep. We
Thank
do
you.
have another tip, tip of the tip jar from Chef Go. Chef Go is actually a customer of ours, and we do have an interesting. We sold him a whole rig, but the graphics card developed a problem. He sent it back to us, and actually we are waiting for the supplier to give us a new GPU to replace that one. But Chef Go just says kudos, and he'll just text hit the question. So meaning sa akin yun pupunta kasi he has my personal number. So I guess sorry chef kasi gamit ko yung cellphone ko ngayon. So if you text me now as a webcam. So if you text me now, di ko pa makita. Okay, next from Zero Sign. This is more of a shop question but I wanted to include it. Ask lang bakit ang konti ng products nyo. We get asked this a lot kasi kung pumunta ka sa Lazada or sa Shopee namin, ang daming out of stock. And really, there are two answers to that. Number one, kasi we don't have a lot of money. We're a small shop and it costs a lot to stock PC products. Isipin mo like one GPU is 25,000. Bibili ka ng 10. That's already a quarter of a million pesos. Wala ka bang CPU, wala ka bang case, wala ka bang PSU, wala ka pang RAM. And there are so many brands, there are so many variants, there are so many models. It's really hard for a small player like us to keep up with the stock of a big player. Sobrang mahal. As a consumer before, bago namin tinayo yung hardware sugar, di ko iniisip yon na paano ba yung stock nung shop, paano ba yung inventory. Inassume ko lang, pagpasok ko sa shop, meron. But now that we do have a shop, mas na-appreciate ko talaga na pucha, ang mahal talaga. Even at the distributor prices, talagang yung mga jokes na bebenta mo yung kidney, para sa isang graphics card lang yan. Imagine mo you need to stock 5 of this model and 5 of that model and then yung CPU, yung 3700X and then yung 3900 and there's so many models, so many brands. So that's number one. We're poor is the answer. We can't afford to keep up with the big shops. And number two is since we don't have the same resources as the big shops, we try to stock lang yung medyo high-end the quality. So even the inventory that we do have, mas maliit kaysa sa, or mas konti kaysa sa dun sa other shops. Um, and lastly, number three, we do actually want to restock a lot of items, pero out of stock sila sa mga suppliers namin. Yung mga usual namin na Seasonic, usual namin na Deep Cool, usual na AIOs na NZXT, or Deep Cool, or even It Cooling. Lahat yan, usually we have PSUs, usually we have, but yun nga, kahit yung suppliers, wala. Um, so I just wanted to address this question on air. Kasi sometimes parang na-imposter syndrome ako na I look at the shop inventory tapos inisip ko, oh nga, ba yan? Parang right now, we have like one CPU in stock, parang ganon. So those are the various reasons why we have very few stock right now. Rafael, you might want to chime in.
I want to say first that even if we had a lot of money, we're still a small shop, and it's not about stocking as much stuff as possible to run a good business, okay? Because, even if we pack the good stuff, they're gonna break down. And when they break down, customers need to have them replaced. Imagine if we sold thousands of items, there's at least going to be 100 or maybe 50 people who need to come to us, and we need to repair their things, to replace the items. If we need to allot some room to provide superior customer service. And that is where we are different from the rest, because we actually have the time to respond to people who have problems, and we can help them out. In fact, nga, when I'm replying to the Facebook people, I have sometimes they're not even buying from us, or they're just asking tech questions because they can't ask anyone else. And so we're actually there to help them out. So even if we don't make a sale from it, it's totally fine, because we're also giving back to the community. Because yun nga, we don't want to be that heartless store that just cares about selling. Kasi if you want to go to a store that always sells, you can go to Gilmore. I'm sure they have a lot of stuff there. But there are a whole host of horror stories to go with that inventory also. So I don't want to, like, if I was a consumer, I would rather just go along with the store. Nah, just as long as they have the parts I want, I'll go there and pay a small premium. Just as long as to make sure na I can get it fixed in case something breaks down. Yun nga. Right now, we're a small store, we're adjusting, and at least we have the time to respond to problems.
Actually, Chobedir on YouTube says, pwede ba ako mag-invest? PM is the key. Sige. Kausapin mo kami after the live stream. We are always open to people giving us money. And the last
Pero
question...
Aunt Rocky,
Oh.
sorry, just
Go.
on the sub question. But if an item is on your website, is it guaranteed to be on stock?
Yes.
Let's say if you can add it to the cart, it's guaranteed to be on stock. I
Yes.
think someone on YouTube or Facebook asked that question na talaga bang pag may add cart, nandun yung stock?
Yes. Actually, we put a lot of effort into that na updated yung inventory in real time. So, if you see it on the site, available yun. And we are actually expanding, we're calling it Project Pizza, but we're expanding our inventory and our ordering and our delivery para everything will be integrated. So hopefully before December, maayos na yan lahat. But even currently, what you see on the site and what you see on our list should be available. Yes, occasionally there are mistakes, but very few actually in relation to the number of inquiries we get and the number of items we have.
Just one very important announcement about that, okay? You guys, you don't need to go to the store physically to check if we have the part. Okay? If you want to make sure that we have the part, just message, because we'll get around to replying to you naman talaga. So, and also our price list, as Anton said, is always up to date. Kasi we get a lot of messages now of customers trying to reach out to different stores, and the different stores never reply to them, or yung price list nila is out of date, or you have to line up into a store just to know if the part is there. Yun nga, we're not going to be part of that horror story. At least you'll know by inquiring with us if you're gonna have a part or not, and then you don't need to waste time.
Okay, the last question for the night is from This is actually from a customer. He bought a 1650 Eagle na GPU. Tapos minessage niya ako after na, Sir, parang may sira ata yung part na nabili ko sa inyo kasi hindi umaandar yung fan, hindi nagsispin. It's not really a question. I just wanted to put it here sa live stream na actually hindi yun sira. It's really a feature. A lot of the new items like PSUs tsaka graphics cards, yung fans nila hindi talaga umiikot kung walang load. Kung naka-idle lang or kung hindi naman kailangan, naka 0 RPM yung fan, hindi aandar yung fan. So I messaged the customer saying na yes, it says on their website na yun nga 0 RPM feature siya, hindi siya tatakbo kung hindi naman kailangan. And yun, I just wanted to put this sa live stream kasi marami nga nagtatanong, medyo marami kasing marami kasing kinakabahan when they buy a part tapos pucha hindi maandar yung fan, 'di ba? Paano sira na to? Babalik pa ako sa shop. But yun nga, less no stress, don't freak out. And it's good to be aware nga, especially the newer products like for GPU tsaka PSU. Most no, some of them or a large majority of them feature na talaga siya na um, hindi tatakbo yung fan kung hindi kailangan, kung walang load. Yun, actually, it's not really a question. I just wanted to put it out there. If any of you guys had any experiences with like you freaked out na hindi pala umaandar yung fan pero kasama pala yun sa feature talaga siya, hindi siya bug.
Yeah, for both, as you mentioned, no, PSU and GPU, they weren't running, and I was really scared, and
Yeah,
I had
it
to
happens even to
research
RJ, the tech expert.
heavily. I think it was a Corsair. That was the very first parang Corsair 850W, and yeah, nagtaka talaga ako kung bakit, and it wasn't heavily advertised there, kasi PSUs usually at least by that at that time they don't have that 0 RPM, so it was one of the newer models. But yes, for GPUs especially now, um, there's been a huge leap in cooling capabilities. So they've kind of mastered that you don't need a fan running all the time, especially if you're just on your desktop. So it's there for a reason. But if you're still worried and want it to be running, all you need to do is download your GPU brand's software.
Or Afterburner. I think Afterburner
After
works on
MSI
yeah,
Afterburner, yeah.
works on any GPU. Yeah. And then for the PSU, sometimes usually may switch kasi yun to turn off the 0 RPM.
Mm,
If you just want the fan to run even
yes.
at idle. Oh. Marv?
Yeah, so my old what they call this PSU didn't have that feature. So that was one of the troubleshooting methods then. If your fan is spinning, then everything is good. Pero the newer one, it was very clear on the box na parang may 0 RPM feature siya. So
Don't freak
don't
out. Ah.
panic.
Yeah, don't panic.
Don't
Oh.
if it doesn't turn on.
Yeah.
Uh,
That kasi that's the natural inclination of the customer na pucha hindi nga maandar yung fan.
Yeah.
Sirada to, leaching hardware sugar, puro salita lang, sira pala, defective pala yung mga items na binibenta. Although this customer was nice. I mean, he was very nice about it. But kinakabahan rin kasi kami as a shop na when we get messages like that na hindi umaandar yung something's not working. So we have to research and we do get a lot of PSU and GPU stuff like that na the fan's not working.
and parang his particular GPU, when I looked it up on the site, it's not expressly stated na may ganun siya.
The
Na,
hardware sugar site?
no. Yung Gigabyte GTX 1650 Eagle OC,
It's
it doesn't mention it on the spec site.
there. Yeah,
Parang on its website.
you have to scroll down, I think. Screenshot ko yun tapos pinadala ko sa kanya na feature talaga siya.
Fine print.
Kasi
I was looking for it and I couldn't find it.
kasi mahirap. I mean,
there you go.
I didn't want him to just take my word for it na walang problema yan. Mag-game ka na lang. So I wanted to send him proof na talagang feature siya. I think it's there but you might nga need to scroll through several virtual windows or
Okay.
something.
Tumigil na yung scrolling ko sa alternate spinning eh. Okay.
Baka baba pa doon, lower pa than that. So that's the last question. Actually, we'll just end with the intro, which alam ko medyo weird, but based on sa YouTube comments natin, I know you guys like na diretso ka agad, wala nang paligoy-ligoy. So we saved the introductions for last. So the panel will introduce themselves and sort of a icebreaker question, even though we've already spent an hour and 30 minutes breaking the ice. Icebreaker question, what was the first PC na talagang nagamit mo? Yung talagang PC mo, like where you cut your teeth on and like, your basic memories or your your fond memories about that. Marv?
The first PC that I bought for myself
Sorry, introduce
using
yourself
money.
first. I mean,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
sorry. So I'm Marvin. I'm an old time gamer. Millennial pa rin kami pero old school millennial. So inabutan pa namin yung mga 386, 486 PCs. So we do know how good gamers have it today. And
Grabe
the
ka
first
naman,
PC I had,
parang old man. You kids these days.
You kids.
I did acknowledge na millennials pa rin yung bracket natin. So no hate there, no hate. Uh, so the first PC I had, I think I mentioned a few parts of it was because I like to build for value builds. It was a Phenom X4 Black Edition 955 na AMD. Then it had an HD 5850 na GPU. The motherboard was an Asrock uh, G, GX edition. I forget the full name. So yeah, I pretty much cut my teeth on that. I've troubleshooted it through all sorts of weird hardware, software, and surprisingly, after I bought my new computer a few months back, I thought I'd have to retire it, but it's still running now on Windows 10.
So you're still
It's
using
my
it. You're still, buhay pa.
SSD. So I think the hard disk might have been the problem too.
Sorry, we lost the video, but we still have audio. The only one showing up on the stream is Rocky na lang for some reason.
Oh,
Oh, hi everyone.
Wait.
Well,
I'm getting it
actually
back.
now,
I'm getting it
uh,
back now.
wow, the timing to the. Oh shit! Now, yeah, I'm on your face.
It's my ako na
Yeah,
lang.
yeah,
Ako yung nawala.
yeah. Based on the.
Baka my camera
Oh,
died. So sorry, go ahead.
So
go
yeah,
ahead,
so
Mark.
that's my first PC that I ever built by myself.
RJ?
first PC that I built was, I think, during my college days. Uh, Talagang I saved up. So I had a really difficult time, but I was able to save up for, I think it was 4870 AMD 4870 uh AMD, is that Phenom 2 X or 6200, so 6 core, and then 8 gig bip jaws DDR3, I believe so. And yeah, I was really happy because at that time, um what was I playing? I'm a big shooter guy, so I grew up playing. I think my first game was Doom on Windows 95, and
Yeah,
then
FPS.
fast
Yeah,
forward,
yeah.
of course, Half Life, single player, Counter Strike, and then your Call of Duty. But at that time, I was really happy because I think Battlefield Bad Company 2 just came out, and it was, Battlefield's no joke in terms of hardware requirements. You need they're big maps tapos destructive maps pa. So
Uh,
yeah, you need more pretty beefy GPU for that, and so that's where I'm coming from. I'm just usually a FPS shooter.
Rafael?
Well, I don't know if you guys, if the store, if the fans of the store know this, but Anton is actually my brother. So my first PC actually came on my birthday. It was wrapped up, and then I don't know any of the parts except what the graphics card was a GeForce 4 MX, not the FX, but the MX. And then on the back of that graphics card was Battlefield 2. Yun ang picture na sobrang ganda ng graphics niya. So actually the only reason why I got a PC for my birthday was because Anton convinced our parents for me to get my own PC. So I would stop using his.
Personal computer nga eh. Personal.
I know, pero yun nga if I wanted to play StarCraft, you kick me off. So
Oo
at
nga.
times I would wake up at mga 5:30 in the morning to use your computer. Kasi you weren't awake yet, so I went. And then after mga 8:30 or 7:30, you begin to wake up. So I have a good 1 hour and a half time. So it really getting your own PC, it was really like magic. And that's what I remember.
For me, well, I'm Anton. Most of you, like, I'm at the shop or, are active here on YouTube. The first PC, like, the first PC we had at home was a 486. It was still MS-DOS, Win 3.1.
Wow.
So, nasanay ako sa command line na directory, dr/p, or
Yes.
auto exec bat, yung mga ganyan na and to echo Marvin, I was making I was kind of giving him a hard time. Pero sa totoo lang, gamers these days really do have it better, much easier. Like may DirectX na eh. Like salpak mo lang yung GPU, walang problema yan. Gagana yan 98% of the time. Pero like when I started with PC, wala pang graphics cards. Wala pang dedicated graphics card. That would only come in Win 95. There will be different graphics cards like Voodoo Extreme. Nakalimutan ko na yung ibang 3DFX. And then, not all games would work on the different cards. So, paiba-iba yun. But yun, ibang-iba yung 486. Bagong-bago pa lang yung CD-ROM. Ngayon, wala na mga CD-ROM. But, yeah, like all of the panel, I guess what all of us have in common, we got a PC, then we sort of fell in love with figuring out the settings and why won't this work, and I want to get like 70 FPS, bakit naka 60 FPS lang ako, and things like that. And then, well, over the years, we still keep up to date with the hardware, and I want to thank the panel for giving their time tonight. Naka 1 hour 30 plus din tayo. I
Oh,
hope
wow.
I hope yung mga nanood may natutunan naman. There were a lot of questions actually in the live feed. I'm sorry we couldn't get to them all. But there is a next episode coming up. We're gonna do this show every twice a month. We'll try to do it twice a month. I hope the panel is still game kasi medyo may time investment pala to. It's like 2
Course.
hours, 1 hour 45 sitting down. But lastly, I do want to shout out kasi people sa YouTube comments do ask for shout outs. A bit kind of negligent. Di ko nasama sa mga videos. But Baymax Pro, shout out. Ian, who is familiar to us because he gave us the first question for tonight's episode. Pa-shout out. And you have been shouted out, Ian Matthew.
Talagang shout out.
Yeah. And last, matagal na to si 21 and Crypto. Pa-shout out. Shout out 21 and Crypto. So thanks everyone for watching. And lastly, plug ko na lang, the next show we have coming up is Sunday 3 p.m. with Ergo. His main game, yung show na yun in the industry is where we do a one-on-one interview with industry personalities, local, so puro mga Pinoy lahat. And then ito si Ergo, professional Magic the Gathering player. Yung na panalunan na niya total is over 300,000 pesos from his different gaming these different gaming purses, which is crazy if you think about it. 300k plus in earnings, in winnings. Although nakinabang na pala kami ni Marvin noon kasi he used it to buy a 50-inch TV or something and a PS3 before. So remember, I think we played on that. Parang naalala ko yun eh.
Yeah,
So
in his room, di ba?
yeah, exactly. So nakinabang kami doon. So do tune in for that episode, and if you have any comments about this episode, whether you liked or disliked it, please leave it in the comments, or Rafael will reply to you in the Facebook DMs kasi usually he's like 80% of the time siya yung nagre-reply doon. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Keep safe and good night.